So, hi Ben and David.
Hello.
Here we are down at the British Seabuckthorn company in Essex. This is very exciting to actually be together rather than doing it over Zoom.
Yeah.
So, welcome everyone to our podcast this week on the Gut Project. And so I'm with Ben and David Eagle, and I've been working with you now for 2 or 3 years as we're trying to learn more and more about the nutrition of your fabulous orange Seabuckthorn berry. So it's just great that we can chat with you today, and maybe David, first of all, if you can just share with us how come you come to be growing Seabuckthorn in the first place.
We are farmers, and as farmers we have grown commodity crops for 20, 30, 40 years. And commodity crops in the UK basically are exactly what they say. It's a big mass of food we take off the field and it disappears off in a lorry to somewhere mysterious. It is food in theory, but we have nothing to do with that process once it's left the farm. Seabuckthorn offered the opportunity to basically grow something which could be processed on farm, which has a very high nutritional content, which has a potential and has been used in food, drink, pharmaceutical, veterinary products for centuries to some degree. And therefore it's an exciting crop to grow because it can go in any direction. We can develop this simply as a food and drink. It has many possible pharmaceutical content, nutrients. That's far more complex. It has to be very much controlled by regulatory issues. So therefore it's a process of growing with the crop, and it's something which I would like to feel gives this farm a future, which is Ben's future.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's so interesting because obviously on this gut project we're all the while learning about best foods for gut health, and we initially started off looking at the importance of nature in that process and the soil which the food comes from, and of course you're farming organically here too, which is fabulous. And we know from the analysis that we've done on your crop that it is just brimming with over 190 nutrients, and we think therefore that it's that combination of nutrients all working together that is just really benefiting gut health, in that it's a nutrient dense food. Interestingly, Dr. Sally Bell, when she was talking with us a couple of weeks ago, used the term "we are nature," and she said to me afterwards, "Lucy, that's the first time I've ever said that. I normally say we work with nature, we've got to respect nature," but she said, I realised afterwards I said we are nature. And I must admit, standing with you here, just for everyone's benefit, I'm standing next to some Seabuckthorn bushes which are about, do you call them bushes? Trees?
Yeah.
Bushes which are about maybe 8 feet tall. How old are these ones?
These went in 2015.
Yeah, okay.
6 years old.
6 years old, and we've got a healthy amount of biodiversity around us, which is the posh name for weeds. But that's great because that's encouraging all the insects. And so Ben, can you just tell us a little bit about how you're farming it, how you are doing that thing where we are completely working with nature here?
Yeah. So as you've already mentioned, the organic ethos is very important to what we're doing, and that was very that was quite key when we were starting out. What we were trying to do was have a crop that, in essence, can adapt to whatever kind of future that we face here on the Essex coast as the climate changes, and also we're also looking for something that we can grow on a much smaller acreage, as the farm, being coastal farm, is at long-term threat from sea level rise as well. So we could be farming on a much smaller acreage in future, and it is very much about working with our surroundings. It's been a learning project as much as anything else. So in the first few years we've gone from having lost a certain amount of the crop, up to 40% of the plants in the early years, because we were learning. And as every year goes on, we learn a bit more as well. And we've fluctuated from being quite strong in terms of managing the weeds underneath the plants. We've got rid of all the weeds, and then this particular year, for example, we've encouraged the weed growth beneath to encourage beneficials, and just it's about exploring, and it's about actually understanding the plant, but also understanding our surroundings, and not trying to force a situation, but trying to read the situation and learn from our natural environment where we are. And I think that's something that's very interesting, that's happening as a change in farming generally at the moment, and that doesn't go just for Seabuckthorn, that goes for lots of other crops as well, is that we need to become better at actually working with the environment, noticing things more, and adapting to that as it changes, because things are changing as they always do.
Yeah, that's music to my ears. And I think there is a general move in, well, there is definitely a general move in that direction, which is really exciting. But you really are sort of pioneers in how, you've trialled this crop for so long. And I remember, David, when we first met, you used to talk about, you could see the climate change issue, and you've struggled here with rising sea levels, because you used to be a dairy farm when you were a boy, or even more recently than that.
And I think one of the issues we've got here is this is a perennial crop, so we hardly use any machinery at all. And once it's in the ground, it should be here for certainly 20 years, possibly even 30. As a plant, it's a nitrogen fixer, so we don't need fertilizers. We do use foliar feeds, but some of that, as Ben was saying, is a learning curve. We understand from research that's been done in Asia that some of the key nutrients, vitamin C is one of them, can be, I was about to say manipulated, that's the wrong term. We can theoretically increase the vitamin levels with some of the nutrient trace elements in seaweeds, for instance, and boron's one of them. So there are things we can do, but on the whole, it is a totally sustainable crop. And from an organic perspective, we don't have pests, we don't need fertilizers, you can just let it get on with itself.
Yeah.
The weed thing, I think it was right to try and get on top. We had some really pernicious weeds in here which just smother the crop.
Yeah.
But we've now got to a stage, having done it for several years, clearing the weeds, we've now got sort of weeds that are
manageable weeds.
They're manageable.
Yeah.
And even thistles, if the thistle grows for a couple of feet, a lot of these, only the larger plants, 8-9 foot now, and they'll grow even bigger than that as well. So we're looking at the whole canopy. There's a certain field in farming which tries to look at farming in terms of 3D farming, three-dimensional, and actually you're looking at all levels. So you're farming the soil surface, you're actually looking underneath the ground as well. But here we're also looking vertically as well, and using in agroforestry techniques as well. So we're trying to understand that whole spectrum.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something in Germany, they were very keen right from the beginning that theoretically we take the berry, you can use the leaf for chemical extracts, you can use the bark, has things like natural serotonin in it, so theoretically you can use the whole plant.
Yeah.
And that is, a holy grail.
Yeah, really sustainable. Well, we were talking a bit earlier about the leaf and using it in tea, and you were munching a leaf, so I munched a leaf, and I can see that would be it's an obvious byproduct of it, isn't it? For the benefit of, I feel very lucky that I'm standing in among these Seabuckthorn bushes. It's a clear blue sky. The sea's not very far away at all, and it really is an absolutely stunning day to be here. Interestingly, this crop grows wild around our coasts. I've seen it in Scotland. So it's possible to forage it. It's a bright orange berry. Excuse me. It's very prickly, mostly very prickly branches, not all, I think, depending on the variety that you grow.
The we've got a lot of plants here from Siberia, and they started breeding Seabuckthorn in 1933, and they've effectively bred the thorns out. A lot of German varieties are semi-thornless, and actually almost semi-thornless is almost worse than thornless, because they will come round. It's as if they
Teases
wait
you.
for you, and it's like throwing a javelin. It's they do have really vicious thorns when
Yeah.
you get them.
So you harvest it, I know, by lopping the branches and freezing the branches, and you found through trial and error that works well for getting the berries.
It does. We had annually there is a Seabuckthorn conference, and one of the discussions that was this year was that if you get the wrong variety, you'll kill it, and it's as simple as that. And we've been cutting some of the German varieties up here, and we have a number of dead plants, which has purely come from the fact it's just the wrong variety.
Right.
And it's the same with everything in agriculture. There is plant breeding is very, very important to get the right crop. Ben and I went to Siberia in 2018, and were amazed the size of the berries there. They were about the size of a small olive.
Yeah,
Wow.
almost a grape.
Yeah.
Right. So at the moment on the trees there are very tiny, more like the size of a lentil, which will become the size of it's like a small blueberry size, or it's more sort of oval, isn't it? And bright orange and vibrant, and so which brings me on to so you then sell it directly from the farm as the frozen berry, which is fantastic to keep in the freezer and lop in a smoothie. So Ben, can you just talk us through the different products that you have and what your plans are for the future with it?
Yeah. So one of the exciting things about Seabuckthorn in the UK is that it's still very new. So there's still lots of people who are trying it for the first time. And so when we launched our website, it's only barely 18 months ago now actually, we wanted to show the diversity of products that you can use with Seabuckthorn. One of the great things about Seabuckthorn is that it is immensely versatile, and if anyone's on Instagram, just search for Seabuckthorn generally, not just beyond our account as well, and you'll just see some of the things that people are doing with it. So everything from tea through to oil capsules. We sell a soap which we make from the oil, frozen berries, shots, and we sell equine and canine products as well. So it is immensely versatile.
Yeah, and that's with my background as a vet, it's just so interesting that you've got the products for horses, because Seabuckthorn has some very wonderful omega oils and a great source of vitamin E as well, which makes it really great for skin health of animals as well as humans, which is why it's in a lot of cosmetic products and your soap. I mean, it looks too good to use, actually. And it's a real family business, isn't it? Because your sister Emma has been doing some incredible over lockdown recipes, kept us all going on Instagram. What are some of your favourite ways to enjoy it?
Oh gosh, for me it's the simple ways are the best. So I will, like you say, I will just keep some berries in the freezer, and I'll add it into a smoothie mix. I'll have it in my porridge in the winter, but similarly, I really like it. You could make a little marinade with it. It works well with meat. It works well with fish.
Yeah.
It works, It really because it's a very clean flavour that cuts across. It does pair quite well with lots of different things. So experimenting with it is one of the best things.
Do you both have it every day?
When Emma's at home, yes.
Yeah.
No, we do have it most of the time.
We have we have the oil capsules every day, don't we?
Yes. When the first thing that happened for me, I was taken by the University of East Anglia to Siberia to the international conference there, and wonderful American sat across the table, and he said, "Eat that," and it was a capsule. And actually, from October 2009 to now, I've been taking it on a daily basis. Now, having said that, I do stop from time to time, and if you stop for 2 or 3 weeks, really notice it. And it's one of these things, I would put it's as if your stamina, your energy levels just drop. Or certainly when you start going with it again, it just keeps you going through the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fantastic as well, actually, because we've had customers who have been on it almost as long as we have, as in the capsules, and just hearing the feedback of it's something we're almost all doing together as a team.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things I love about this crop in particular, and the way that the way we're going is it does feel like a real community as well.
Yeah,
We're
which
all
is
learning
fabulous.
together.
Yeah, and actually, interestingly, what you're saying there, David, about the energy levels, that's one of the bits of feedback we had, Ben, wasn't it, from dog owners
Yeah.
starting it, that they noticed they couldn't really explain it, but their dogs were just jumping into the back of the car where they would have needed to have been picked up before, or there's just generally more vitality. And it's a very hot day today, and yesterday too. And yesterday, for the first time, I used it as a cordial and just diluted it with plain water. And it's interesting because I've always felt I needed to add something to it to sweeten it, or put it in a smoothie with something much sweeter. But actually using it neat, just blending it and then adding water, I've just been drinking it for the last couple of days as a cordial, and I have to say, never felt better. So, we were discussing earlier on this afternoon about how do we get that message across, because it's just, it seems to do so many good things. It has a history behind it of being, so many health benefits, and which health benefit do we shout out about? But that's actually quite interesting, David. You're talking about it just from an energising point of view. Just from it's a wonderful functional food.
Yes, and we have to be aware that there is the European Food Safety Agency that basically runs the health regulations, health claims regulations, and that's key to stop the consumer being fed snake oil effectively. But the trouble is with Seabuckthorn, like many other botanical products, is that Mother Nature is incredibly complex, and when it comes down to food safety regulations are very simple. They want one ingredient, one pathway for one benefit.
Yeah.
Seabuckthorn has 190 different nutrients, and that's working 190 to the power of 190 different reactions going on. So therefore, you can't peel away that single nutrient, the single pathway to the single benefit.
Yeah.
So when we come up and say it does this, if you go to Finland, they push it hard on dry eye, and it does. And if actually my oculist says this is what you should do, we sell it to horse owners for gastric ulcers. That's been around for centuries, and as such, yes, it doesn't cure gastric ulcers, but it definitely dampens them down. And in racehorses and things, that's a very key benefit, because it's a natural product that you can use through the year. And it's just one of these things, you just keep looking at the benefits, and they do work. How do they work? Sorry, we can't give you that chemical formula.
Yeah, which is so frustrating.
It is frustrating.
Yeah, because when you see it written down on paper, it should be fantastic for boosting immunity and for all sorts of hormone balancing. It's very, very similar to lots of the supplements, that evening primrose oil, borage, all that sort of thing. And so it's as a nutritionist, it's really easy to see how it's probably having all these effects. But as you say, it's from a regulatory point of view, you can't just pick out the single nutrient. So it's a great story. And Ben, you've also got all sorts of other things going on as well as Seabuckthorn on the farm. One of the things that we've been focusing on that benefits gut health is just keeping on the move and being connected with the outdoors more, and trying to get everybody active, just even sitting down less. It doesn't have to be major exercise, and I know you're a great one for understanding the sort of mental health benefits from that as well. And there's, I think, some things going on the farm in that way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was actually when Countryfile came down just before COVID kicked off, January last year, and we were chatting with the producer afterwards, and she really hit the nail on the head that actually the direction that we're taking here as a farm and as a business generally is totally focused on health and well-being. So I think that's where we're going. And Thrive Outdoor is partly about that. So that's the outdoors company that's based on the farm as well. So we are the whole idea behind it is whether you're 3 or whether you're 93, we want to have something that can get you outdoors, get you active in some way, whether that's active mentally or active physically. And also community is important as well. As a farm business generally, we have 3 pillars, one of which is food, one of which is the environment, and one of which is community.
Okay.
And it's about what we're trying to do generally is bring that trinity together as a whole, because Essex has a high population. We're on the coast. We're slightly disconnected away from the rest of the world because we're peninsula, but also we're very connected as well. London is just down the road. We've got people heading up to the Suffolk coast, but really North Essex is a beautiful part of the world, and we're often bypassed. So it's really brilliant to have people coming towards that as well. And community is really, really important. It's really important we look after each other, and that's one way that we do it here as well.
It's all win-win. I love that, community, environment and food. And that, the funny thing is it's like we've gone full circle, isn't it? Back to how farming used to be, really, before it became so industrialised, and now we realise that it's so good for our health as well. So,
and I think there's something, this farm originally, in the sort of 1880s, 1890s, across the turn of that century, employed 30 plus people. Probably didn't actually make any money, but at the same time all those people were fed off the place, and it was a multi-enterprise. Everything, your beef, your sheep, your pigs, your milk, your brewery, wheat, food for the horses, energy for the horses. It's just that everything you wanted, it was the total sustainable package, which is what we're all trying to get back to now.
Yes, yeah. And it's just wonderful that you've recognised that, and you're, putting in all the tremendous hard work at the moment to try and forge that path forwards. And I should, just say, well, you've kindly given us a discount voucher to use on your website, which is great. So next harvest will be August, and you've probably still got frozen July, but you've still got a freezer full of frozen berries, or are you running out low?
It's getting low, so get your orders in now. But they will be stocked up again soon enough. But it's been from our point of view, it's been a fantastic year, and just brilliant to see so many people just getting to know about Seabuckthorn and using it.
And just before we finish, just to sort of reiterate then its benefits. I mean, I can't possibly go through all 190 nutrients, but a big one is these antioxidants, these anti-aging plant nutrients that it's packed full of, that our body just uses on a daily basis, and are generally a great part of an anti-inflammatory diet, which an inflammatory diet can be at the root of so many of our health problems now. So just loaded with vitamin C, vitamin A, which of course is great for healthy vision, as well as immune system, and we've talked about the skin benefits, vitamin E. But have a look on the website. There's all sorts of health information on there. And do you still have the dry powder product as well?
Yeah, the powder's still available.
Yeah, so that's a great ingredient, I think, to put into homemade muesli and granolas and flapjacks and baking. It's exciting. Anyway, thank you so much. Really great to chat with you both and to spend the afternoon with you.
It's
Thank
great
you.
to have you here, Lucy.
Thank you.
Thanks.